This will be the first start with the Acra exhaust. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This will be episode 3 of our 2003 Project R1. As you can see in our last video, we got that full Acra exhaust installed, and this thing is looking absolutely sick. You could saw that I just got the radiator back installed, so we are going to start this thing today. I'm pretty pumped to hear how this thing is going to sound. I didn't get it on the last video, but I did use this Permatex nickel anti-seize lubricant when I was connecting all the pipes together. I put a good amount on it. It's actually good up to 2,400 degrees, it says. So this should be perfectly fine. If you want to get this thing, it's a good size and it's a good thing to have. It's actually in the link in the description under the motorcycle parts. It'll be labeled under anti-seize. You can just click on it and it'll bring you to an Amazon link and you can get the stuff. Really good stuff. Like I said, nickel anti-seize lubricant. 2,400 degrees temperature it goes up to, so that should be more than enough for sure. But without further ado, we do have to get some antifreeze in here. So before I do that, I actually want to flush it with distilled water. So I got a gallon of distilled water. I'm going to fill this thing up with the distilled water and then run it for a bit, and then we'll have to drain out the distilled water just to get rid of any of that old antifreeze that's probably not good anymore. But yeah, let's get this thing down. I'm going to lower the lift down. I'm going to start filling this up with the distilled water, get this all full. And we shouldn't have any error codes on the dash because of the servo buddy, which is right there. Shaboom, there it is. But yeah, just look at this full Acra. Once I get that sticker, dude, oh, it's going to be so sick. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to hear this. I also did take WD-40. And I'm going to do it one more time off camera before I start it. I am going to wipe down everything just in case there was any fingerprints on the exhaust, because obviously you don't want the fingerprints to imprint on the exhaust, especially if this thing ends up being titanium. It was super light. I will tell you the total weight of the full exhaust versus what the stock one was. I got the stock headers, and this is actually a full stock can from an 03 that I had that was old and sitting around. You can see it's all crapped up, but I'll get the total weight of the stock exhaust, and I'll tell you the total weight of the Acra exhaust that is on here, and I'll let you know how many pounds we saved. But before we do that, let's go get this thing down, and we'll put the distilled water into the radiator.
A few moments later.
All right, so we filled it a little bit too high. I mean, technically you want to tilt the bike to the left and the right. You can see that there's some air bubbles coming out already. So I'm going to take this off the stand, the rear stand, and then just kind of move the bike left to right a little bit to get some of these air bubbles out. So you can see when I'm doing that, there's already some bubbles popping out. So let me go do that real quick. So I did a little weighing with the stock OEM muffler, the full-size one, and the stock headers. And with that Acura exhaust, we're saving at least 10 pounds. Like I said, I didn't get the total accurate one because I was just using a scale and holding the muffler and then holding that one. And then I did the same with the Acura. But still, at least a savings of about 10 pounds plus, maybe 12. But overall, very happy. All right, guys, here we go. We got the bike outside. Take a look at the Acura. Obviously, it's going to smoke from the WD-40, but this will be the first start with the Acura exhaust. See how it sounds. Got our tack on, and here we go. So the bike is fully warmed up. Got some revs going. That was only like the 6,000 RPM, so sounds pretty good. But unfortunately, there is a check engine light on right now. Even though I do have that servo buddy plugged in, there's something I think I have to go through the diagnostics mode and clear it through there, because I remember on an 03 R1 that I did a couple years ago, it had the same problem with the check engine light because the XL was deleted. I got the servo buddy, I plugged it in and everything, and it was still throwing the code. So I had to go through the diagnostic mode, and then after doing that, it actually cleared. So let me go bring this thing in the garage real quick just so we can get a better look at the dash. And I'll kind of show you what I'm going to do, and then hopefully this fixes it. It could be a faulty servo buddy. I have no idea. Probably not, because I did unplug it, and then I started the bike up again, and then it showed code 17 and 18 on the dash, and now it's only showing code 18 after plugging it back in and starting it again. So let me go bring this in the garage real quick, and then we'll start talking. So yeah, we're gonna have to. I do want to take it for a ride. But the problem is that this work seal is leaking bad. It's leaking worse than it was before. The bike has been sitting for a while. So I'm going to get a seal mate. I'm going to take this fender off. I'm going to take this thing down, use a seal mate on here, and clean it up. And usually when you do that, sometimes it's just something in there. It's just a little bit of dirt. And usually you can get these, then you got to reseal it. You got to hold the front brake and compress the shocks probably like 100 times, give or take. And you got to keep wiping it to make sure there's no dirt or residue on there. So let me go try doing that now to try to get this thing sealed. I'm going to do it off camera. It's kind of a boring process. I mean, like I said, as you can see, yeah, you can see right there, there is plenty of fluid there. So I want to try to seal this before I actually take it for a ride, because I'll be losing a good amount of fluid. All right, guys, so after a bunch of trial and error and after some research, I've had one of these servo plugs before in the past, and apparently you can see there is 4 pins on there, the top 3 and the bottom one. So apparently, and don't quote me on this, but plenty of people have done it, and it seemed to fix their problem with code 18. So what the problem is that if you look at these pins on the top, there's 3 on the top, 1 on the bottom, right? 1, 2, 3. So the very right one right there is pin number 3. That one you have to take a needle nose plier and just kind of wiggle it back and forth and break it off, supposedly. So I'm actually going to do that now. I'm going to take out pin number 3. As of right now, like I said, I am going to break pin number 3. That is the pin on the top row all the way to the very right when you have the 1 pin on the bottom and the 2 empty slots. So I'm going to go break off pin number 3 as close as possible to the bottom over there. So let me go do that real quick off camera. All right, so there it is. There is the pin. I broke it off basically very close, if not all of it. So now we're gonna go test it, and I may have just wasted $60, but it's not like it was clearing code 18 anyway, so we're gonna give it a shot. All right, so I plugged in the modified servo buddy. I'm going to try a couple things first to see if I can get it to clear. What I want to first do is I'm going to start the bike. Obviously, the modified servo buddy is plugged into the harness now, and I'm going to see if after 2 minutes, if the light will go off, because if I plug in the stock X-up motor into the harness, after 2 minutes of it idling, 120 seconds, it will shut off the light. So we're going to see if this modification worked, but let's just try to see if it shuts off by itself. So let me go start it. I'll get the camera on the tack so you could view it the whole time, and we'll see what happens. As you can see, the check engine light is still there. It's showing code 18 on the dash. So let's start it, let it run for 2 minutes, and see what happens. Yeah, look at that, guys. No more check engine light. Very, very interesting. So, I didn't have to go into the diagnostic mode or nothing like that. I'm probably going to do that anyway, just so to clear the code. But that is huge. So, like I said, that pin removal of number 3 was what it needed to get rid of the check engine light. That's crazy, because when I was doing research on this, and when I made actually a comment on the R1 forums, the actual forum, not like the Facebook group that everybody has nowadays, which is totally fine, nothing wrong with that. But obviously, you know, things have changed over the 10 plus years. But it's very interesting that they had this problem way back like 10, 15 years ago. And supposedly, I don't know if Graves ever fixed it or not. Some of the 04 to 08 R1s, it didn't have that issue with the 4-pin connector or the 4-pin servo buddy. So it's definitely interesting to see that. the first version of that servo body is still out in the world today with the 4 pins. So obviously my recommendation is, if you do have the Graves one and it has the 4 pins and it does not clear code 18, then obviously I showed you exactly which pin to break, which was number 3 on the top right, and that will get rid of the code 18 and you will not have a check engine light anymore. I'm pretty pumped because, like I said, I really wanted that servo buddy to work. There it is. It's just tying it up in there. And so it's expensive, yeah. You spend like $70 for this thing and it should fucking not have any codes at all. You might not have that problem. Maybe it's just some bikes. I have no idea. But all I know is that breaking off that pin number 3 fixed the issue. Another thing that I like about having this servo buddy in general, and obviously anyone, is that it plugs into the actual harness. Supposedly you can just get a resistor and put it on certain wires. I forgot which ones they were, but you could research it online. Just type in code 18 R1 form and you'll see threads on it. There's like 13 pages on one of the threads about it, but surprisingly enough, that pin removal obviously fixed the issue. So I'm super happy that I don't have that check engine light, and it's kind of a bummer that we spend $70 on a servo buddy that's supposed to fix it, and it obviously doesn't until you do that modification. Luckily enough, okay, it didn't cost me any money at all. It only took me literally a minute literally with the needle nose pliers just to break off that pin. But I'm kind of disappointed that I'm still seeing these Graves servo buddies with that 4th pin in there. I wouldn't, like I said, I would not get rid of that pin at first. Try plugging it in and see if it works. And obviously if it doesn't, then you gotta break off that pin. So, but I am extremely happy now. No check engine light. I am pumped. I get it. It's just a little light, right? And you can literally put a piece of duct tape over it. But, I just don't want to have any codes on the dash. Obviously, I'm trying to do this thing right. And with that being done, we are good now. Also, I did use a seal mate. One of these on the floor. I have a couple. There's you can get this in the link in the description if you want. I got this 2-pack, and if you end up like bending the crap out of it like I did, you could always just use a scissor and cut it, or you could get like a milk jug and cut it somewhat similar like this, and you can use it to reseal the forks. Like I said, I did this one and it's good now. It is not leaking at all. There's just a tiny bit of residue from when I cleaned this part, so you get a little screwdriver, pry it in there to get this down. You got to get this thing squeaky clean. You got to clean up inside here all the way around on this rubber gasket. Obviously you got to clean your forks really well. Then you got to get your seal mate up into there. You can't just press it up. It has to be bent to the shape of the fork, then it will be able to go up in there. All right, and then once you get it in there, you have to do a full rotation, completely 100% around, and then swipe it out going down, so that if there is any dirt in there, you can get it out. Sometimes you may have to do that a couple times, and then after you do that, you need to clean off everything, make sure it's super dry. I always keep the rubber seal all the way down, so that when you grab the front brakes and you got to compress the forks up and down a bunch of times, probably like 100 times to reseal it, just to be safe. And obviously after like 20 or 30 of them, make sure you wipe this down again and then keep doing it. It should work. I did it on the Project R1, the 2001 over there, and both of them were leaking, no issues now. So probably gonna have the same result on this one. But yeah, let me go just put this on a stand real quick. You can see obviously when I compress the shocks, there may be a little bit of residue, but it's not gonna be actual liquid. So let me go show you that real quick. So now I'm just going to show you guys. I'm just going to hold the front brake, compress the shock. As you saw, there was a ton of fluid pouring out before, and now there shouldn't be any. So like this, and get out of the camera. All right, as you can see, there is no fluid whatsoever. So I think we have successfully sealed it. Obviously, I got to take it for a ride. Same with the servo buddy. I'm going to have to take the bike for a ride. I just want to make sure that it doesn't throw any check engine lights, but I highly doubt it's going to now since I removed that pin. But so far, so good with that, and same with the servo buddy. All right, so we're going to take this for a quick little ride. The bike's warmed up. I just want to make sure that the check engine light doesn't turn back on. I highly doubt it's gonna. So let's go take this for a little rip. I want to feel this exhaust. I'm not going to go crazy, but just a quick little test ride. On stock mapping. Obviously there's no power commander, just exhaust. All right, guys, we're back at the house. Our fork seals are good. They are not leaking at all. The GoPro, I don't know why I wasn't really recording my voice, but either way, you can see the bike is just starting to wheelie very easily. So I'm going to need probably want to get a steering stabilizer for this thing because it is ripping. I don't even have the dyno tune on it yet or a map on it. And the thing is, it's running really, really good. But yeah. Like I said, fork seals are not leaking anymore. This is great. That SealMate did a great job, and I highly suggest try to use one if you do have that problem, because now I just saved all that money, and it was only probably like an hour job, half-hour job to really get it squeaky clean. But yeah, it's perfect. Not leaking. This side was good, but this side was the one that was leaking. So all right, sweet. I'm very happy with this exhaust, I gotta say. I can't wait to get an actual map on it to make it run even better. But all right, I think this is gonna be it for today's episode. Make sure you guys stay tuned. I got some new parts coming for this thing, and we're gonna start throwing this thing back together after I get those upgraded parts. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.